Yeah, hi. I'm the founder of Quidroom, the social platform where accredited investors and investment professionals globally find each other. Before we kickstart, for all the investors who are listening into the session and to the podcast later on, if any of your questions are unanswered or you just want to have a chat about investing, feel free to reach out directly to Philippe in his community inside Quidroom. To attend future similar sessions, you can join hundreds of other investors in my personal Quidroom community. The community handle is going to be posted in the comments here. Now, over to you, Philippe. Great to have you on board today. May the force be with you.
Thank you so much. Yes, and the force may be with you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So before we get into digital assets and the wonderful things that your team is doing there in regards to that, will be great to get an overview of your background, your origin story, and what led you to start GenTwo around 4 years ago.
Sure. Thank you very much. Well, my history was in derivatives trading. I was the youngest licensed trader at the Swiss Stock Exchange in my early 20s. And then through my market making activities in Switzerland and in Europe, I also got to travel to Australia and trade Asian markets from there when they turned digital, electronic at the time. And from that market making career, I made it back to Switzerland, opened my own advisory firm, asset management firm, helped to advise mainly institutionals on overlay strategies and derivatives, risk-averse strategies, vol arbitrage, and so on. Formed one of the largest derivatives book through one of the funds in there. And when I sold the company in 2013, I moved to the US to work with some of my investors in the funds. And there I finally joined Forstmann Family, the family office of the Forstmanns, which is called Forstmann and Company. Forstmanns were big in the LBO space in the US, and I got to connect with them and rebuild their family office structure into a multifamily office and then merchant bank, a kind of format. And with that, I got a lot of exposure to not only the venture business on the West Coast, but also into private assets, dealing with licenses and patents and private equity and so on. And after my time in the US, in 2017, end of 2017, I decided to move back to Switzerland. And I got the great opportunity to form GenTwo with an old colleague of mine, an old friend of mine called Patrick Löpfe. He was one of the main drivers in the Swiss structured product and securitization market. He had the idea with GenTwo to actually open securitization and with that financial engineering to all sorts of financial intermediaries, give them a light setup to do that, to do white labeled offerings for their securitizations and structuring business. And out of that, we became now a bridge builder with our solution for institutionals, for institutional investors, but finally also financial intermediaries to build offerings and their vertical and their access and their products into all assets that are possible and legal to possess. So we did a lot of structuring and investment products for them for publicly traded asset and strategies, but then also for all of the alternative assets from private equity to real estate to private debt to trade finance to collectibles of all sorts. And then we also start to open up the same methodology with GenTwo Digital for all sorts of digital assets. And right now we are working for over 7% of financial intermediaries are now in Switzerland are now clients of GenTwo. So banks, family offices, asset managers, brokerage companies, and so on.
Interesting. And Philippe, what is the take on this? Which are the main kind of investors that have been putting in capital at this point of time from what you have seen? Because you work in such a broad space, you have so many vehicles that you see. working on the different parts of the economy of the metaverse NFT slash economy and the blockchain economy, right? So I want to know exactly where do you see most of the capital coming in from? Is it mainly from the family office guys, mainly from the pension fund guys? And where do you think the future of money into this industry is going to be?
Mm-hmm. Well, clearly at the moment, we see that a lot of asset managers and financial intermediaries, including banks and family offices, but mainly the asset manager space needs to create offerings for their clients. They need to answer the question, how do I invest into digital assets? They need to answer the question, what are good products that I could invest in, or how should I do that best? And clearly, the trusted relationship that every financial intermediary already has with their clients, they don't want to let that go. They want to find good partners to work with in that field. They want to see good products that they can not only offer to their clients, but also make experience with and get involved in. And so there is a lot of money coming from exactly the clients that are involved with these asset managers, mostly, of course, high net worth individuals, but also institutionals, and then also, of course, other people maybe like you and me that are with an asset management firm, and we see that there are smaller and larger tickets coming from that size. And nevertheless, that falls right into the banking industry, where also then products of that are getting replicated or multiplied or white labeled for banks, for their clients and their asset management clients, wealth management clients. So that's the main part and the main investors we see. And of course, our clients also are the distributors into these networks, into these clienteles. And that's mainly also where they place their services. So I would say there is a big adoption of the asset management sector that wants to have a certain proportion of their allocation in digital assets today. And I think we will see a lot more of that. This is only the beginning.
A lot is being explored, but there is definitely a lot of hesitation when it comes to investing into that market because there's a definite need for you to compare metaverse real estate with physical real estate. But physical real estate has complete different economics, and the necessity is basically you need to have a roof on top of your head. That is one of the main consumer requirements that people have when it comes to residential real estate, of course. So the hesitation is there because a comparison is being built of virtual real estate with physical real estate and the economics behind it. Is that comparison justified?
In a way it is. In a romantic idea it is. Look, I mean, if you would have the opportunity to build a virtual Fifth Avenue, that should already give you a picture of what's happening right now in the metaverse. Yeah. It's clear that our life is more and more digital, that there is a lot more to own in the internet, in the web, than only your domain and your email address. There is a lot more that will be coming up through that space for you. And when you now think of building that Fifth Avenue, and you think of all what could basically come along with that, the shops, the venues, the experiences, the maybe the concert halls, the casinos, and the galleries and the shopping malls and the presentations of that, where you can be first row, or fashion shows that you can be in the first row, what my wife always dreamed of, and so on. Then you see all the elements that can come to life. And now imagine that you not only can create in that metaverse or own the space in that metaverse, that you can also equip it with what is of value to you, or what you want to exchange, and interact within that same space. I think you get an idea of what this means. And yes, it's an abstract, it's a romantic, and also a fantastic kind of way of thinking about it. But it is also, in that sense, limitless in what we will see from that development. And I think it's too promising that to be ignored, and it's too interesting to be unexplored.
Absolutely. Do you feel that the main use case is when it comes to metaverse? Really, of course, you would not be able to stay in a home because but then also there's always going to be that one space that you can have for yourself that is there. But do you think the main use case where the economics is going to build up is going to be on the retail side, where now you can actually enter in and you can see what you want to buy, and then after that you would get that product delivered to you? So do you feel that in the fashion industry and in the even when it comes to the virtual real estate getting plugged to physical real estate, so you can see exactly how the property looks like, and then you're buying it because you can't travel, take a plane and go there, and you can do this. Do you think these are the main use cases that are going to grow the economy?
I think you have one point, like you already have in traditional real estate market. You have that sort of excitement about location, yes? Okay. Although you can jump from location to location, you also have the familiarity to be in a certain quarter or with certain neighbors or associated with certain neighbors or certain brands. So in that sense, you want to have maybe that representation and that location to be represented by. And from there, I think that also creates a lot of excitement and assimilations with other players in that field. You maybe have the opportunity to be close up with something and in the neighborhood of something and share through that community a lot better what your endeavors are. And I think that's where the excitement starts. And yes, how luxurious and how representative that should be is completely up to you. But I'm sure we will see some exciting things on that side. We already do. And then next to it is, how much is it really worth to you, and how much can you build from that? I mean, I can clearly understand that when you see that Christie's is building galleries in Decentraland or in the Metaverse, that this leads to totally different experience. This leads them to global space, so to say, where everybody can tap in, everybody can come to see them and actually interact with them. So the functionality is much more unlimited than maybe on Fifth Avenue today.
Interesting. Philippe, what does that mean for investors when they look into the future, or what if they don't get into it in the next 10 years, what are they going to miss out? And what should they actually be looking into in terms of what they invest in when it comes to metaverse real estate?
Well, first of all, I would always give the same advice. Invest in things that you really care about and that you find yourself in them, and that you maybe also hold ones if there is volatility or if there is a difficult time. But fact is, ownership is, I think, also in times of inflation, the most important factor for building wealth. And here you have the opportunity to own a lot of the digital world, or you're part of the digital world. And you can own not only real estate or goods, you can also own what you create and what you make out of it. And that should be the first thing that you should look at, and the first thing to consider if you want to learn more about the metaverse and the investments into the metaverse. And I think, as I said, we are only at the beginning. And right now, imagine you've been thrown back to the first days of the internet. I think that space is yours to be defined, and what you care about and where you think added value. And with that, we can certainly predict that the metaverse is in its beginning and will have a lot more value creation than might is seen today, and might we can estimate from today's standpoint.
Absolutely. So, Philippe, getting directly into this question because of the community that you currently have, it's going to build more with the high net worth individuals inside Quidroom, right? So, for all the new accredited investors that are going to be coming on board, what can they expect by collaborating with you on certain factors, or what help would you be able to provide? What advice can you provide them?
I mean, it's a clear call to the listeners. We can build products for you. We have the expertise. We have the network of partners, custodians, brokers, setups that we can share a lot of knowledge about with you. And you can happily address me and the firm anytime on that. And how we can build products for you, tailor-made products, but also what products are out there in the market. We have a good oversight of that, not only from our clients, but generally in the market, what is there. And if you are interested in that space, if you're interested in these allocations, we certainly can show you the whole color of the rainbow there, what is possible, what you can build, or what you can white label, or what you can invest today, and how you can best maybe steer, so to say, the allocation in the space, or build an allocation in the space.
Thanks a lot, Philippe. This was a very interesting session, and it seems like you are and your team is doing excellent work in the space, and you seem to be very well connected with the ecosystem in Switzerland, and seems like the ecosystem is very forward thinking around this, because believe me, I have spoken to a lot of people and everyone's different perspectives around blockchain, starting from blockchain all the way to metaverse investment. I would just want, before we end this session, and even for the podcast listeners, if you have not watched this, I would just for the humor of it, it will be great to watch the interview that Bill Gates did with David Letterman, where David Letterman was talking about the internet and comparing it with fax machines. And this was in the 90s, and about the feeling that internet is going to be very irrelevant, where Bill Gates made very good points of why it is supposed to be, but even someone like David Letterman was not able to see it. So do consider these factors that you may need to think about the possibilities 5-10 years down the line of what this can be, and also keep in mind about the generation that is already adopting this at this point of time. There's a future generation that is coming up, and that basically means the economics in here is just, there's no way that it's not going to get powerful. It is going to be more, and there is going to be more opportunities coming up. So do keep an open mind. I understand the hesitation with anything else, but there should always be an open mind to anything that is being adopted at such a wide scale. That is from me. Philippe, great to have you on board.
Wonderful.
Let's chat later on.
And Thanks. The perfect summary. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, there is a lot of excitement ahead. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.